A state based on millions of individuals who recognize its authority, feels its action, and are ready to serve its ends is not the tyrannical state of a medieval lordling. The fascist state multiplies his energies, just as in a regiment a soldier is not diminished but multiplied by the number of his fellow soldiers. The fascist state organizes the nation but leaves the individual adequate elbow room. It has curtailed useless or harmful liberties while preserving those which are essential. In such matters, the individual cannot be the judge, but the state only. The fascist state does not attempt, as did Robespierre at the height of the revolutionary delirium of the convention, to set up a god of its own, nor does it vainly seek, as does Bolshevism, to efface God from the soul of man. Fascism respects the god of ascetics, saints and heroes, and it also respects God as conceived by the ingenuous and primitive heart of the people, the God to whom their prayers are raised.
This is an incredible agreement for Ukraine, because we have a big investment in their country now, and what they have, very few people have. And we're able to really go forward with very, very high-tech things and many other things, including weaponry that we're going to use in many locations, but that we need for our country.
Mr. President,
this allows us to do that.
I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead, please.
If I can just, yes. In the document, there is one of the very important points. If we speak about business and investment, we never had LNG terminals in Ukraine. This document will open. I mean, the next document, but anyway, here we see in the framework, we see really goodwill for this. LNG terminals for us is very important, and I think for security of European continent. We have the biggest storage, gas storage. We have the biggest in Europe. Yes, and we can use it. Use it for LNG. We use it for LNG, and we will do it. And really, we can help Europe, because Europe really helped. President Trump said that they made less support, but they're our friends, and they are our very supportive partners. They really gave a lot, Mr. President. They did.
They gave a lot, but they gave much less.
No.
Much less.
No. Okay.
The fascist state expresses the will to exercise power and to command. Here the Roman tradition is embodied in a conception of strength. Imperial power, as understood by the fascist doctrine, is not only territorial or military or commercial, it is also spiritual and ethical. Fascism sees in the imperialistic spirit, i.e. in the tendency of nations to expand, a manifestation of their vitality. In the opposite tendency, which would limit their interest to the home country, it sees a symptom of decadence. But imperialism implies discipline, the coordination of efforts, a deep sense of duty, and a spirit of self-sacrifice. Never before have the peoples thirsted for authority, direction, order as they do now. If each age has its doctrine, then innumerable symptoms indicate that the doctrine of our age is the fascist.
Mr. President Trump, you have repeatedly called the deal with Ukraine as a historical one. And as a President of the United States, you make historical decisions in other issues which affect America and other world. So what place in the world history do you want to take? And do you associate yourself with any famous historical figures?
I'd say George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. I would say I'm far superior to George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. Now, you know I'm only kidding, right? Because when I say that, the fake news is going to go wild. They're going to say he considers himself to be better than Washington. But you never know. You never know. I don't compare myself to anybody. I'm here to do a job. We've had a great 35 days or whatever it might be, a month, a little more than a month. We've accomplished tremendous amounts. Not only this would be a very great achievement if we could get the war stopped and get them back to normalization. I think that's going to happen. We've had very good talks on both sides, as you know, but I think we've done a very good job, just generally. If you look at all of the things we've done in 30 days, they're saying there's never been a opening for a president. The first month, there's never been a first month like we've had. And this is one of the very important things. This, to me, is one of the most important things because we have tremendous death taking place as we speak, and I don't want to have that. Think of the parents, whether they're in Russia or Ukraine, think of the parents of all these people being killed needlessly.
They came to our territory.
Should have never started. This would have, if I were president, this would have never started.
Mr. President, will you continue sending military aid to Ukraine after the U.S. signs this agreement with Ukraine?
Yeah, we're going to be continuing.
President Zelensky, do you feel like the U.S. is on your side? That President Trump is on your side at this moment?
What do you think?
He wants to know, do you think that, sort of a stupid question. I guess we wouldn't be here if I wasn't.
I think that the United States on our side from the very beginning of occupation, and I think that President Trump on our side, and of course, I'm sure that the United States President will not stop support. This is crucial for us. It's important for us. Yes. And Putin, the president, speaks about the people and the soldiers which are dying, but they came to our territory, they came to our land. They began this war, and they have to stop. And I think this is the question, with really the most important question. Can President Trump, I hope yes, with some other allies, to stop Putin?
If Ukraine puts down their guns, the war does not end. The war continues, and it could eat up Slovenia and Estonia and Lithuania, and then Slovakia, Slovenia, Greece, all the Balkans, then Germany, Poland, Italy, France, Portugal, Britain, Sweden, Finland. But if Russia puts down their guns, the war stops.
Withdraw these enemies, our enemy, withdraw these troops from our land. And I think that you asked about the history, I think that if President, or when, he will stop Putin, if President Trump will bring peace to our country, I think he will be on this wall.
We've had very, very good talks.
What about military aid to Ukraine?
President Zelensky just said that there will be no compromises with Vladimir Putin. I just wanted to ask both of you, firstly, are there compromises that you think that President Zelensky is going to have to make? And President Zelensky, is there anything that you might be thinking that you may be able to offer or bring to the table, for example, elections? Thank you.
I think you're going to have to always make compromises. You can't do any deals without compromises. So certainly he's going to have to make some compromises, but hopefully they won't be as big as some people think you're going to have to make. That's all. That's all we can do. I'm here as an arbitrator, as a mediator to a certain extent between two parties that have been very hostile. To put it mildly, they've been very hostile. There's been a vicious war. There's been a vicious war. You know, it's a very level battlefield, and those bullets go out, and as I've said many times, we were talking about it with Pete, many times the only thing stopping those bullets is a human body. And in the case we're talking about, generally young human bodies are stopping a lot of bullets. It's dead level. That's why it's great farmland. It's great land. It's great farmland, but there's very little protection against the bullets that are being, and other things that are being shot. So all I can do is see if I can get everybody at the table and get an agreement. And I think we're going to end up with an agreement. Otherwise, I wouldn't probably be even here today.
Mr. President, I've got two questions for you. You think ultimately your legacy will be the peacemaker and not the president that led this country into another war and ended foreign wars? And then I've got a question.
I hope it will. I mean, I hope I'm going to be remembered as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing if we could do this. I'm doing this to save lives more than anything else. Second is to save a lot of money, but I consider that to be far less important. So I hope I'm going to, thank you, Brian, for that question. It was a nice question. I hope I'll be known and recognized as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing to solve. This is a very dangerous situation. You know, this could lead to a third world war. This was headed in the wrong direction. If this election were lost, if we didn't win this election, and by the way, we won it by a lot. That was a mandate. We won every swing state. We won.
Kamala Harris got 77 million votes. Let's see. How many votes? How many votes did Kamala Harris get? What was the popular vote total of the U.S. election in 2024? It's like 77 million votes for both, right? So total, 155.5 million. Donald Trump received 77.3 million votes. Kamala received 75 million votes. So, okay, I stand corrected. They didn't both have 77 million. She had 75 million. He had 77.3 million. But for him to say he won by a lot, I mean, that's almost split down the middle. You know, that's like 49, 51, well, it's 48% to 52%. So, by 4%, that's not a lot.
The popular vote by millions and millions of votes. We won everything. The districts, you look at the areas of red, take a look at a map. This was a big mandate, and this was one of the things. I said, we're going to get this thing settled. If we didn't win, I think this could have very well ended up.
I was curious to see if they had freedoms in Ukraine, and they do have a constitution. They signed a constitution in 1996. But they have a whole bunch of freedoms. Way more freedoms are listed, at least, in their constitution than what we have. Here you have the freedom of thought and speech. Here, let's see, everyone is guaranteed freedom of movement, free choice of place of residence, and right to freely leave the territory of Ukraine. Everyone has a right of freedom of personal philosophy and religion. I didn't see the right to bear arms, though. The right to freedom of association. Whole bunch of freedoms here. So, political parties.
In a third world war, and that would not have been a good situation. What was your second question?
And my second question for President Zelensky. Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest, why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level.
Why don't you wear a suit?
And you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if do you own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
You got problems?
Problems with you not
Really?
respecting the
I don't have
dignity of this
such-
office.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe one.
Maybe something like this?
something like
Yes,
yours.
sir.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Maybe something better. I don't.
They've had meetings with Saudi Arabian diplomats. They didn't wear a suit. Winston Churchill, when he visited the White House, wasn't wearing a suit. Elon Musk, he always wears like t-shirts. And they all wear them hats. So if you want to talk about like being traditional Western, why are you wearing a baseball cap? You know, is that respectful for the office? He's dressed nice. He's nicely dressed. You got to wear a fucking 5-piece fucking suit with a vest and a little, you know, what do you call those little eyeball things? Those eyeglasses. You got to have, you know, 5, 6, 7-piece suits. What are those eyes? Not Oracle. What are they called?
We will
Ocular.
see. Maybe something cheaper than. Yeah. Thank you.
President Trump. Thank you, President Trump. You said yesterday that you have.
Are you going to send more arms to Ukraine in case there's no peace?
Yeah, we're going to have arms to Ukraine, yeah, sure. Hopefully I won't have to send very much because hopefully we're going to have it finished. We're looking forward to finishing this quickly. We're not looking forward to sending a lot of arms. We're looking forward to getting the war finished so we can do other things. But we very much appreciate the agreement because we needed what they had, and we're treating, you know, our country is now treated fairly. Biden didn't do that. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. This should have never happened. This should have never started. But, you know, sure, the answer is yes, but hopefully we won't have to send much because I'm looking forward to getting it done quickly, very quickly.
Does that still provide security guarantees, Mr. President?
I don't want to talk about security yet because I want to get the deal done. You know, you fall into the same trap like everybody else. A million times you said over and over, I want to get the deal done. Security is so easy. That's about 2% of the problem. I'm not worried about security. I'm worried about getting the deal done. The security is the easy part. Security is very nice. Everybody stopped shooting. And now will Europe put people there? I know France is going to. I know the UK is going to. I know other countries are going to, and they happen to be right next door. We haven't committed, but we could conceivably. You know, we have security in a different form. We'll have workers there digging, taking the raw earth so that we can create a lot of great product in this country. So in that sense, you have something, but we haven't determined that yet. I will say, in speaking to France and in speaking to, and they were here, as you know, last week and just the other day, they have committed to a lot of security. I don't think you're going to need much security. I think once this deal gets done, it's over. Russia's not going to want to go back, and nobody's going to want to go back. When this deal ends, I really believe this deal is going to be over. Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Mr. President, thank you. You had President Macron and Keir Starmer at the White House this past week, both of whom praised your courage and conviction to lead the pathway towards peace.
Yes.
Part of that involved, though, re-engaging Russia in diplomatic relations, something that previous leaders lacked the conviction to do so. What gave you the moral courage and conviction to step forward and lead that?
Well, I love this guy. Who are you with?
One American News, sir.
Well, that's why I like him. One American News does a great job. I like the question. I think it's a very good question. It's a pathway to peace. It's a pathway to getting something solved. And I feel that as the head of this country, I have an obligation to do that. Plus, you know, we're very much involved. We got involved. It's too bad we got involved because there should have been no involvement because there should have been no war. And there shouldn't have been October 7th. That would have never happened. As you know, Iran was broke. They had no money to give to Hezbollah. They had no money to give to Hamas. They were stone cold broke. And then under Biden, they became rich as hell. They went from no money to $300 billion in a period of 4 years. And they gave a lot of that money away, and you see what happened. And that's a real mess also that we hope to be able to solve. But no, I appreciate your question very much. I feel I have an obligation to try and do something to stop the death.
If I can answer. Yes, if I can answer.
Please,
Sorry. Please.
And I do like your clothing, by the way.
Yeah, really?
Even though I think he's a great guy, by the way. But I don't know if you two like each other. But you know what? I think he's dressed.
I like this guy.
I think he's dressed beautiful.
So I have more serious things than answer on such questions. I will answer on more serious questions if I can. Yeah. So please, about security guarantees and about ceasefire. We can't just speak about ceasefire and speak. It will not work. Just ceasefire will never work because I'm like a president. I have this experience, and not only me. Ukraine before my presidency, from the 2014, Putin broken 25 times. 25 times he broken.
Once you try a comfort hoodie, you can't go back to
Putin
regular
broke,
hoodies.
you know, the agreement, the ceasefire agreement, 25 times.
His own signature, 25 times he broken ceasefire.
But he never broke to me. He never broke to me.
No, you were the president. You were the president during.
He never broke to me.
In 2016, you've been the president, Mr. President. You've been the president, but he had, of course, not with you, but he had during those periods, he had conversations with our outside. And we had Normandy format, you know, the France, Germany, Ukraine, and Russia. And he broken 25 times. That's why we will never accept just ceasefire. It will not work without security guarantees. Security guarantees, maybe President is right about this document and other, but this document is not enough. Strong army is enough because his soldiers afraid, Putin's soldiers afraid of our soldiers when we're strong enough. If we are not strong enough, if we are empty, if our storage is empty, we can't defend our land. Today, you know, he knows that we have all the world knows that we have meeting. Yes, why he's using ballistic? Putin today using ballistic on our hospitals, schools, and etc. Ballistic. So he knows that we are here and that President Trump is really have goodwill to stop this war. And you hear now the president. So why he's using? So he doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want. But I hope that we will do it. Really, we'll do it. Security. When we speak about security guarantees, when the Europeans are ready for contingents, they need USA backstop. If there will not be United States, we will not never have any contingents, strong contingents from the Europeans, because they don't want to divide alliance, connection between the United States as the main and strongest ally and Europeans. And this is crucial, this is important. That's what we want to speak about very much. This is very important. And air defense. So air defense, really, we have big deficit with all these systems, and we need to provide this. We need it very much. Otherwise, Putin will never stop, and will go further and further. He doesn't want. He hates us. You know, it's not about me. He hates Ukrainians. He thinks that we are not a nation. He thinks, and he shares these thoughts. I think maybe with your team also. I don't know, but with all the Europeans, in media, officially and not, he always said that there is no such country, such nation, such language, and such life like Ukrainian. No, he really doesn't respect all the Ukrainians, and he wants to destroy us. And you are right, Mr. President. That's 2%. This document, maybe other documents, it's a very good start, very good, but it will not enough to stop this person.
Should Russia pay to rebuild Ukraine?
Mr. President, after these
Should Russia pay to rebuild Ukraine?
They have to pay.
This question.
This is the rule. This is rule of the war. This is the rule of the war. During all the centuries, all the history, this is the rule of the war. Who began, those pay.
Do you agree?
This is the rule. Putin began this war. He has to pay all money for innovation. He has to pay. Of course, some Russian assets, what we have in Europe, about 300 billion, we can use them. We can use for innovation and buy military support from the United States also. We can do it, but it's not enough. It's not enough.
Under these circumstances, do you envision a trilateral summit with Putin and President Zelensky?
Wait, 1 second.
I asked this question that you didn't like because I wanted to know if you want to position yourself in the middle between Russia and
Yes.
Ukraine, or on the Ukraine side.
No, I'm in the middle. I want to solve this thing. I'm for both. I want to get it solved. And it's wonderful to speak badly about somebody else, but
It's wonderful
I want to get it solved.
to speak
If we can
badly
solve
about
it, great.
somebody
If we
else.
can't solve it, they're going to have to fight it out, and who knows what's going to happen. But I want to see it get solved.
May I follow up? One more question about U.S. troops in Europe. After Russian invasion of Ukraine, your predecessor sent additional troops to Eastern Europe, including Poland, my country.
Yeah.
Are you committed to keeping these troops on the eastern flank of NATO in the future?
I'm very committed to Poland. I think Poland has really stepped up and done a great job for NATO. They, as you know, they paid more than they had to. They are one of the finest groups of people I've ever known. I'm very committed to Poland.
What about Baltics?
Poland's in a tough neighborhood, you know.
What about the Baltics?
The Baltics, they got a lot of, it's a tough neighborhood too, but we're committed. We're going to be very committed, and we're committed to NATO. But NATO has to step up, and the Europeans have to step up more than they have. And I want to see them equalize, because they are in for far less than we're in, and they should be at least equal. You understand that? Why is the United States, we have an ocean in between, why is the United States in for so much more money and other things as Europe? With that being said, and as you said, they've also been obviously very helpful, but we have put in far more than they have, and I think they should equalize.
Mr. President,
Please, go ahead.
Ask you about the agreement again today. What changed between the first time that Secretary Bessent gave President Zelensky the agreement and today for the signing?
We made a deal. So
What was the
I'm just-
deciding factor?
I'm a business person. We made a deal. That's what changed.
Mr. President,
I didn't think we were going to make a deal, and we ended up making the deal, so that changed.
Mr. President, what and how do you envision a trilateral summit with President Zelensky and Putin?
I don't know,
under
but
these
well, they
circumstances?
don't like each other. I can tell you that. They do not like each other. This is not a love match, and it's unfortunate. That's why you're in this situation. The United States should not have allowed this to happen. Okay? The United States, run by a man that didn't know much, I'm going to be very nice, run by an incompetent person, very incompetent person, should never have allowed this to happen. I've stopped wars. I've stopped many wars. My people will tell you, I stopped wars that nobody ever heard about. I stopped wars before they ever started. You can look at some of, I could give you a lot of nations that would tell you right now they were probably going to war. I could tell you right now there's a nation thinking about going to war on something that nobody in this room has ever even heard about. Two smaller nations, but big, still big. And I think I've stopped it. But this should have never happened.
Mr. President?
Sorry, just a second. About any negotiations. First of all, I want really to tell you, and I think that everybody understands that Ukraine, more than Ukrainians, nobody wants to stop this war. But at the future, any negotiations, it's understandable that two sides of the war, not Russia and the United States, because this is not the war between Russia and the United States. This is war of Russia against Ukraine and Ukrainian people. So these two sides will be at the anyway will be at the negotiation table. Then of course United States, like the strongest partner of the Ukraine, and of course Europe. I think Europe is very important. I want to speak about it with the president. Yes, Europe is very important for us because we really defend Europe for today. All Europeans really recognize that we are defending line and they have real life and our people are dying. That's why they helped us. And also it's about the need. Yes, between, like the president said, you have big, nice ocean. Yes, between us. But if we will not stay, Russia will go further to Baltics and to Poland, by the way. But first to the Baltics. It's understandable for them because they've been in the USSR. You know, they've been one of the republics of the USSR, and Putin wants to bring them back to his empire. It's a fact. And when he will go there, if we will not stay, you will fight. Your American soldiers. It doesn't matter. Do you have ocean or not? Your soldiers will fight.
Mr. President, would you be willing to visit Ukraine, maybe Kyiv or Odessa, which is known to be at the Riviera or Black Sea?
It was my question.
I'm sorry.
I don't want to talk about Odessa now. Let's not talk about Odessa. I want to talk about...
You don't want to talk about Odessa?
Deal, getting peace. We don't have to talk about Odessa.
Why don't you want to talk Odessa?
But a lot of cities
about Mariupol?
A lot of cities that are not recognizable. There's not a building standing.
No.
And a lot of things
Mr. President, you have to come and to look. No. We have very good cities. Yes, a lot of things have been destroyed, but mostly cities alive and people work and children go to school. Sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes closer to front line, children have to go to underground schools or online, but we live. Ukraine is fighting and Ukraine lives. This is very important. And maybe it's Putin is sharing this information that he destroyed us. You know, he lost 700,000 people, 700,000 soldiers. He lost everything. Yes. So.
Mr.
Mr. President,
President,
more. I mentioned
Please, go ahead.
When did you last speak with President Putin, and what did he say that?
A couple of days ago.
And what did he tell you that gave you the assurance that he wanted peace?
Well, that's what I do. My whole life is deals. I know pretty good. And I've known him for a long time. I've dealt with him for a long time. He had to suffer through the Russia hoax. You know, Russia was a hoax. It was all Biden. It was nothing to do with him. So he had to suffer through that, and he was able to do that. I think that he wants to make a deal, and he'd like to see it end. That's all I do. That's what I do. My whole life, that's what I do is make deals. And I'm in the middle of a mess because this is a real mess. It's a very dangerous one. If this doesn't get solved now, it's not going to get solved for a long time. So I hope we're going to get it solved. In the back, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Prime Minister Starmer claimed repeatedly that his government believes in free speech and was not engaged in censorship. But his country's government arrests people for memes and thought crimes, and even more worrisome is pressuring American companies to censor Americans on his behalf. How can he be a reliable, trustworthy partner when he says things that are demonstrably false on such an important topic?
Well, we actually spoke to him about that yesterday, and we thought they took it very, very much too far. JD was very strong on it. So was I. So was Marco. And we've been speaking to him about it. Marco, would you like to say something about that?
Yeah, we have concerns, obviously, with the conduct of those, particularly as it impacts Americans. And there's real concern that American speech, which is online, could fall into the hands of British or any country's jurisdiction. And so this is a point the Vice President made of Munich, and I think it's a very compelling one, that what unites us with Europe, as much as anything else, is these shared values, and one of them being free speech. And so if Americans are threatened by it, we're going to need to take action in that regard.
Mr. President.
It's actually a very important question.
We spoke about this in detail with the Prime Minister, the Foreign Secretary, and others at lunch yesterday. And I know that Secretary of Commerce Lutnick followed up in private meetings last night. This is really important. We believe Americans have the right to speak their mind, even if we in this room disagree with them. They have the right to speak their mind in the public square, which is often online these days. And we're going to defend that right as it pertains to American companies and American citizens vigorously if we have to. I do think that under the President's leadership, we're going to find common ground with our friends in the UK on this question, but it remains to be seen. The principle that will guide us is we believe in free speech in this country, and we'll fight for it for American citizens.
Mr. President, on the deal, is there any other oil and gas component to the deal? Is it all critical?
A little bit. We'll see.
On LNG?
But we're not really looking for that so much. We got a lot. We have more than anybody in the world, by far. So no, we're not talking about it too much, but a little bit. I think it affects also, but for the most part, no.
And sir, is there any agreement from Ukraine to purchase U.S. LNG as part of the deal, or is that on the table at all?
No, we don't need that.
Mr. President, I just wanted to ask you about, you just mentioned that you'd spoken to Vladimir Putin a couple of days ago. Just to be clear, that's a new call, not the one that you...
I've spoken to him on numerous occasions.
Okay, and how was the latest call? What did you discuss? How did it go?
Are you serious with that question?
I am, I'd love to know.
It went well. I think we're going to have a deal.
On the minerals deal, Mr. President, some of those minerals are in the east of Ukraine, not far from the front lines and in areas that Russia has occupied. Will you direct President Putin to withdraw his forces from those areas if there's U.S. interest?
Well, we'll take a look at the time. We have a lot of area. It's a very big area we're talking about, so we'll take a look. I'll study that and I'll see.
And who would protect those minerals if they are U.S. interest? Would that be Ukrainian
forces? They'll be protected. The agreement will protect them.
U.S.
The agreement, yeah, we're signing an agreement.
Right, but what if Russia tries to invade or there's Russian aggression in those spots?
I just told you I don't think that's going to happen. And if that were going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal. If I thought that was going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal.
Some people may wonder why...
They ought to focus on CNN on survival. Not asking me these ridiculous questions. Focus on surviving, because CNN's got such low ratings. I don't think they're going to survive. Let's go.
I already mentioned Poland. Poland was under Russian control for decades after the Second World War. When I was a kid, I looked at the United States not only as the most powerful country, richest country in the world, the country that has great music, great movies, great muscle cars, but also as a force for good. And now I'm talking with my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" That doesn't work that way.
Yeah, but he called Zelensky a dictator.
I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America. And for the good of the world, I'm aligned with the world. And I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way, so that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
I want to respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2014.
2014?
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
that's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him.